we're in this together. And, that's a cliche in a lot of ways, but we really try to live that example in the work that we do, that we are working together for the best customer outcomes with the products that we design. And so how do we do that? And the best way, I think, with a lot of trial and error, is to talk about immersion with our clients in the problem and the opportunity and the outcome. So we talk this process that we kick off with, we call it a product immersion sprint. And it's really, its purpose is really to inject strategic intention into the product development process. It really focuses on business and customer value, and it really talks about how to humanize the design experience and make the design experience as accessible as possible to the business. And so what I've sought to do is really demystify design, demystifying the process of design into how designers think, how they go about solving a problem, how they do research, is something that you can teach everyone to think like designers and to engage in a process that is intentional. And so the immersion sprint is really that process of bringing business leaders, product managers, technical people, marketing, sales, all into the box of thinking like a designer, being human-centered like designers are, and not worrying so much about failure. I think one of the things that I love about working with designers is they're courageous. They're excited about diving into the creativity and not being worried about failure in the beginning. A lot of the challenges I see with organizations is that they are so adverse to risk that they often spend more time than they should diving into exploration or taking those risks in the beginning because they're afraid of failure. And it's okay to be afraid of failure when the heat's on, when you ship a product into the market, when you take a product into the market. Obviously, having failure can result in some inconvenient outcomes. Heads will roll, possibly money is lost. So we embrace an early failure methodology where it's okay to take the initial risks in the beginning and validate those assumptions that we make and those risks that we take with the customers in the beginning.
What we've seen in traditional approaches with design, from basically concept to design to development, is that we know what we know, and let's just have the designer wireframe something up, what we think users want, and then just start developing it, which can be very risky and very expensive. It's also, a designer now becomes an order taker. That can take months, and they could go around in circles, get frustrated, not know how to sell something. Maybe somebody who has a different opinion than somebody else, they're not talking to each other. There's lots of bad habits, sharing of ideas, understanding what is the North Star. These things are common things that we see throughout organizations that have issues. And if you continue with that poor habits of building products, if you don't follow a methodology that allows more collaboration, people to come together, talk about it, make decisions together, and then as they move forward, there's a way in which everything is basically written down and agreed upon, so then the designer can ask more important questions that has to do with the product versus spinning again more in circles and just taking longer and extending that life cycle.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the problem in agency work is there's this sort of mindset of we have to know everything and the requirements have to be defined before we can even start. And I think what we've been trying to do to disrupt that in the immersion sprint process that we have is we can start with what we know. We can embrace assumption making. Let's not get blocked by gaps in knowledge. And so what it said, what the process basically says is let's assemble as a team. I said earlier about this isn't just impact and the client, and we're sort of, impact versus the client. We're all one group, and let's come together and let's write the scope for the project we're about to engage in together.